One sad truth haunts a majority of board game hobbyists. They have games they love or want to love, but don't get to play them enough. Not nearly enough. And that is frustrating. Really frustrating. I think the most challenging part of the board game hobby is not playing the games you want to play. If your hobby is movies, you can watch whatever you want on a phone or tablet, alone or in bed. If video games are your hobby, a gaming system can connect your couch of solitude to a whole network of isolated individuals. Or you can just play against the computer. But board gaming as a hobby almost always requires at least one other player, and often requires 3 or more other players to be in the same place at the same time to play. And if your friends or family don't like board and card games, you're out of luck. Getting non-gamers into tabletop games, or T-games for short, can be about as futile as resisting the Borg. T-gamers are not a Borg-style group trying to take over humanity by constantly introducing new games to play. T-gamers are more like Moses, trying to liberate their people from the captivity of too much TV, video games, or social media. If you're fortunate enough to have friends and family that actually do like games, but that don't like the same flavor of games, your frustration will manifest itself differently. Your frustration often arises when your new game hits a table once, but then never gets called back for a round 2 because everyone else wants to play something different. The sad part is that second play is when people actually might be able to play now, but they know the rules. The rare situation when a game hits the table and is rewarded with a resounding, "Wow! Let's play that again," is the holy grail of gaming. And the quest for a holy grail currently involves too much trudging through despair, especially if you're on the quest for your next favorite. When a gaming group finds a game that provides that wow experience, it will hit the table over and over again and eventually burn out. The experience of discovering and enjoying a board or a card game until its honorable death is a fantastic part of the T-gaming hobby. It is satisfying to look at a shelf and see a game that got played over and over and over again, because doing so fills you with a sense of, yeah, I really got my money's worth out of that one. You might never play that holy grail of games ever again, but having the feeling that you don't have to play it again because it was so well played is amazing. On the flip side, even flops of a game have a place in the T-game hobby. To get a game and play it enough times to say, you know what, this really isn't my cup of tea, and then separate from it, is like having a relationship with someone, giving it your all, and then deciding mutually to end it with complete closure between both parties. At the end of the experience, the relationship partners know more about themselves and what they want next time. Getting closure on a flopped game is an important part in the hobby because it allows you to really understand and articulate what you do and do not like. It enables you to appreciate a holy grail when you find one. But, unfortunately, an overwhelming majority of gamers I know have a collection of games that didn't hit the table nearly enough to get anywhere close to closure. Far too often the game was purchased, excitedly opened, assembled with care, and carried around everywhere from family gatherings to game meetups, just hoping that people would carve out the time to play it. But it didn't hit the table enough, if ever, to get either a home run or a serene breakup. And here's the really sad part. I, and others I've talked to, exhibit a pattern in our attempts to drown out the pain of seeing a game gathering dust on a shelf that didn't get played enough. Here's the pattern. Gamers attempt to heal the not played enough wound by finding and buying another game that looks cool, only to find that it also doesn't get played enough to either find closure or become that game of the year that is happily laid to rest in the shrine. And then the pattern repeats. Purchasing game after game in desperation, hoping for that holy grail moment, and then not playing the game enough to know if it is a flop or a winner is the most frustrating part of the T-game hobby. The purpose of this video is to share an idea of how to generate opportunities to play the specific games that you want to experience with locals that also want to play that exact same game. This idea and the opportunities of matched plays it generates will help you live the T-game hobby in a way that tactfully lets you weed through games that don't fit your taste in your journey to find games that are worthy of your shrine. Here's the idea. You know what games you want to play. You know what your family and friends situation is and the odds that they will or will not play with you. You might even know your local board game meetup members and when and where they meet. But on a game-by-game basis, do you know one or two or three people that specifically want to play that specific game that you want to play? Someone near you knows what games they want to play and their situation. And, thanks to the modern miracle of Board Game Geek and YouTube, there is a high probability that someone in your area knows about and wants to play the same exact game as you. And the idea I'm trying to share in this video is not just to bring people together based off of the T-gaming hobby in general. My idea is to bring you together with others to play a specific game. Board game groups, forums, and meetups are already all over the place that bring hobbyists together in general. This idea to change the scope from general to specific is, as far as I can tell, completely underdeveloped. Said again, I want to bring people together to play a game that they all want to play and that have already seen the game played. YouTube is loaded with tutorials. Board game groups and meetups don't meet those requirements for me. When I go to a meetup or club, I find a cluster of people that are all interested in gaming in general, which is a step in the right direction, but, and this is a really big but, they all like their own flavors of games and have brought their own collection that they want to play. If I'm lucky enough to set up a table at a meetup group and get a game going that I want to play, I consistently find myself in a situation where I spend the first hour of the game teaching it instead of playing it. And then after that first painfully slow time investment of teaching these people how to play, they drop out and wander away to try something else. Seriously, folks, does teaching a game over and over and over again actually qualify as playing it? I don't think so. At meetups, I have been so tantalizingly close to having a fantastic experience. On several occasions, I've had the opportunity to find someone that brought a game that I wanted to play. First requirement, check. And that I had watched a tutorial on. Second requirement, check. And so we've sat down with me practically salivating for a chance to actually play, only to find the entire group slowed to the pace of cold molasses for those third and fourth players that joined but have no concept of what game they're about to play. Can't I find someone that wants to play the same game as me and that has at least watched Rahdo run through it? That is exactly what I want to try. I want to try to bring people together to play a specific game so that they can arrange their schedules and get together and play that game. And when I say play that game, I don't mean spend an hour explaining that a meeple moves or that money buys stuff. I mean actually play that game. So how do I intend to do this? I imagine it will start small. I live along the Wasatch Front in Utah, and I have some personal funds I'm going to invest in developing the system. And I think that those funds and my time can get the young roots started in Davis, Salt Lake, Utah, and Cache counties. But if you live outside that area, I'd still love to hear from you. I also imagine it will start manually. I work in software development, and it is a relatively complicated and expensive endeavor, especially if started out without tried and true procedures and policies for what the software needs to do. With some manual experience from my side in setting up matched plays, procedures can be fleshed out for automation. And with feedback from you on how the matched plays went, policies for a quality experience can also be automated. If you're willing to try this out and let me match you up with other players to play those games you really want to play, please email the answers to the questions in the description area below to help@playtgames.com, and I'll get started working for you right away. Final thoughts. Rock climbers, martial arts, sports enthusiasts, and bodybuilders all have to go somewhere to live their hobby. It is healthy to get out, meet new people, hone social skills, share enjoyment with others, and become a gracious victor and loser. If you're in a relationship with people that aren't into playing meaty games with you, chat with them about this idea. I think you'll be surprised how willing they are to let you take an evening to yourself every now and then to play your way. I look forward to helping you take your hobby to the next level. To get started, please email the answers to the questions in the description area below to help@playtgames.com, and I'll get started working for you right away.